Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. I'm going back and re-recording this intro because I was going to do a video with all three specs and the class tree based around feedback and things for Midnight Alpha, but I realized pretty quickly that that video is going to be an hour long. So this video is going to be the class tree and Affliction, followed by Demonology and Destruction probably in the next day, past whenever this video comes out. Shameless plug, we are less than 100 or 5k subs away from 100k on the channel on YouTube. If you guys aren't subbed, it would mean the world to me if you consider subbing. Try and hit that goal before the year's up. If we don't hit it, that's all right, but I appreciate it. So we're going to start off here with the class tree and just jump into each spec. I feel like the best way to show how talent pathing works, as well as giving feedback on points, is just to build the tree as we go here and give feedback on points and stuff. So we'll do that. Now, I am inside of the actual raid for raid testing now. So there are actually dummies in here, and it unlocks the max amount of talents possible to put into the class and spec tree. Like if you're level 90, right, you're scaled up. There are 34 points in the class tree. This thing is every point. You can get every point for hero talents. They aren't implemented. There are no new hero talents for any specialization, so we're going to skip over this in this video for now. And there are 34 in the spec trees. However, 4 go into your apex talents. I assume everyone's going to play these. If you don't, it's probably just undertuned. So we're putting 4 over here and leaving 30 for this. So when it comes to the class tree has changed a bit for Warlock in Midnight. However, some things I wish there's a bit more thematics to the class tree, but I want to give feedback on actual nodes and build upon that. You'll see what I'm talking about when we end up filling it out here. You have a lot of talent points to spend in the tree, and for the most part, you can get what you want. Pretty much. So let's say we're filling in the tree here. You go into Feldom, into Burning Rush, Fiendish Stride. Honestly, same thing as it's been for the past expansion or so. The damage mitigation part of this is too low, I think. The 10% reduction to damage from Burning Rush is not enough. I think it was like 40 or 50 in Dragonflight. It was a lot. It was probably too much. But they walked it back a lot to 10% in War Within, and it actually still really hurts. Warlock is pretty immobile. One of the least mobile probably range in the game. And having to set yourself on fire and hurt yourself to move faster is awkward. I think we should add more damage reduction to this. Been hitting on that for a while, but there's that. So you grab Dalam, obviously, 2 points in Demon Skin, 2 points in Fell Armor. There are 2-point nodes here, but it's not the end of the world. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute here. You have a lot of points to spend in your tree here. For the most part, PvE, skipping Feldom, pretty much, grabbing Fortitude, grabbing Embrace, grabbing Coil. Then we have this row here. Banish has swapped to the left side here, and there's a new node here called Improved Mortal Coil. It gives 1% Soul Leech equal to your maximum health when you cast it. I assume this value is a placeholder. NYI means not yet implemented. The cogwheel, or like this little rabbit face thing, these talents aren't in yet, so I cannot show you, but it's there. I assume this is going to be a larger value, maybe 5% or 10. 1% is very, very low. I'm level 90 and I have 400k health. It's nothing, but probably build upon that. If I'm pathing through the tree, though, I probably would skip over this for the most part, looking more at like either tongues if needed or exhaustion. But if you don't need either of these, it might just be worth grabbing for pathing in the Soul Link. If you're curious about tongues and exhaustion, there are 1-point nodes here. So they both replace weakness, it says, while active. Now, I don't know how this functions. They're not implemented, so it says it replaces weakness while active. I don't know what that means. It's going to replace weakness, the spell, or it's saying, hey, if you have weakness on a target and cast tongues, it'll override the weakness. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm assuming it's the latter. It'll just override weakness. You'll have both if you talent into it. Not really sure. But tongues and exhaustion are talent points here. If you need them, grab them. If not, it's fine. Let's say we don't really need these in whatever scenario we're in, and we don't need Banish. You're probably grabbing one of these. So let's go into exhaustion, sure, which is a bit awkward because Banish is sort of niche, pretty niche, semi-niche, and but let's say we're grabbing 2 of these for pathing. You're grabbing Pact, grabbing Circle, grabbing Soul Link. Soul Link's here at a 1-point talent node instead of 2. Some defenses have been nerfed a bit in Midnight, and Soul Link took a hit from 2 ranks to 1. It's not the end of the world. But as far as like Dark Pact's concerned, Dark Pact, Frequent Donor, Icro Devil is the same thing. Grab this. We're going to go over here and grab likely Shared Vitality or Foul Mouth to hop down here into Demonic Gateway if you want that effect. Also, if you want Howl of Terror or Shadow Fury, you have to grab one of these 2 here. Still Nightmare and Horrify. Realistically, I'm never really casting Drain Life very often. it's healing my demon. I didn't even read this. There's a lot of like weird pathing choices that you have to make for like niche abilities to get into general abilities. Like I just want gateway everywhere, but I really don't want Abyss Walker very much ever. Share Vitality, my pet shouldn't die in the first place in PvE. Maybe in PvP, that's more of like an outlying niche node. I feel like somewhere to go on the sides here. And I mean, Foul Mouth is actually really good when you're casting curses, but like it is sort of niche in a sense too. Sometimes you don't need the AoE application. But let's say we're grabbing it regardless to get into Gateway eventually. I'm going to put a point over here, I guess, or here if you want niche value. But we have to spend 3 more points up here to unlock the bottom part of this tree. So like we talked about, you can get a lot of just general utility. Like I have to spend more points here, and I'm already at a point of like, well, I don't really care about tongues all the time. I don't care about healing my pet with Share Vitality. I don't really need this. I don't really care about my pet getting shielded. Banish is niche. So I mean, you're spending points and things that are just like, well, whatever, to open up the bottom part of the tree. So I'll grab this, I'll grab tongues, and I'll grab, I guess, Vitality. Sure, why not? You could grab Nightmare Horrify, but whatever. Heading down here, you probably want Gateway in most scenarios. At the same time, you have Shadow Fury or Howl of Terror. In Patrick boss fights, don't need either, but it's an option nonetheless. You're going to want Strength of Will, Dark Accord. I'm going to grab a Cord, it's fine, either one. You're going to want Artifice to go into Pact of Gluttony, and then besides that, your options become more limited again. So we have Gorfiend's Avarice, which is a 2-point talent node. Drain Life heals faster and restores more health. I don't really ever hit Drain Life unless I'm dying. It doesn't really do anything in PvE. I don't know if it's even hitting PvP anymore, but there's that. Frequent Traveler is interesting. 2 charges of Gate is nice. Grab it. It's more relevant than this, I'd say, and this, which is, I don't know, this, and this is sort of irrelevant too. I guess you just grab Traveler to get into Soulburn. If you just want to grab Synergy instead, you can grab that to get into Soulburn. And then for the most part, you've got 6 points to spend still on the tree. And I'm already out of relevant things that I want, right? I mean, like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, Dark Fury, whenever this is not implemented yet. I'll grab this if you want, like, that Cloud of Blight, essentially. But, I mean, like, as far as everything else is concerned, like, the general utility that I want in the tree is basically already gotten, right? I mean, when it comes to teaching the Black Harvest, I'm hoping this talent is here as a capstone, and they're going to fully overhaul what it does. Giving your Imp, Voidwalker, Fellhunter, Syad, Succubus, like bigger, beefier steroid forms, or have them do more damage or cool abilities, that'd be capstone worthy. Or have you control 2 of them, that'd be super cool. But whatever this does now, Black Harvest has been over here in the tree, I think, for a long time, and no one ever takes it. It's just not played. It being a capstone is even worse. But if you're going to elaborate upon it and make it more thematic and change what it does, it could very easily be a capstone. Hey, you get beefy steroid demons. That sounds sick, right? So it depends what they're going to do with this. But at this point, as a capstone, Blight's cool. Got to see where it goes. Not implemented yet. I'm fine with the pathing here, but honestly, the big thing in the class tree, like we said, I mean, you just have a lot of points to grab whatever you want. I'll grab like Blight of Weakness, and I guess Shadow Fury, and Dark Fury, and Banish, and I guess the Dark Pack thing, and Abyss Walker. I mean, I have basically my entire class tree. I'm missing like weird Drain Life Healing, Demonic Resilience, and Black Harvest. If I want this, I can just pull and Banish. I don't use it half the time, right? So you get most of your class tree, but it's more of like a lot of the talents I don't really care about. They heal me with Drain Life, or they shield my pet, which shouldn't die in PvE in the first place, or like, I don't know what this even does, I don't play it in PvE at all. And some things should be PvP based, but like, it just feels like there's a lot of like filler talents, like the Drain Life ones, or like the pet being shielded talent, or like Black Harvest shouldn't be here as a capstone, or like Tongues and Exhaustion were just a curse talent in general. Got you all 3 before. Now, they're probably going to elaborate more on this. A lot of these are not yet implemented, but I think it's worth mentioning. Like, hey, you know, straight up, this is pretty cool that we get most of our talents in the class tree, but I want more thematics. I want more relevant abilities. That's probably the bigger thing. So yeah, that's the class tree. Okay, hopping over into Affliction here. I'm going to start off with just a single target and AoE build. I don't want this video to be an hour long. It's probably gonna be a long video, but I do just want to hit on nodes as we go down the tree here, and I want to hit on like a general issue that I think all three of the lock trees are having in a sense, which is more easily seen when we look at AoE talents. For those that don't know, Unstable Affliction is our Soul Shard spender. Again, in Midnight, Rapture's gone, all that stuff. UA is your single target or prio spender. Seed is your AoE spender, and so is here with multiple seeds, big AoE damage, all that. It's basically Legion AF with some minor changes here and there. So when it comes to like general pathing, I mean, UA into Seed, Shared Agony is the way you spread agonies now. Vile Taint is gone. Basically, it applies to agonies whenever you get in combat with multiple mobs. Now, there's one thing I want to hit on here with Agony, and this is the same for Destruction when it comes to Roaring Blaze. We need to implement some kind of logic where it is smart. And what I mean is, like, I cast 2 agonies, 4 are applied, cast 1 there, it'll hop here. Now, there are various, I mean, I'll look at refreshing agonies in some sense, or I'll put up an agony here. It's not always smart refreshing agonies. Watch the durations here. I hit this, it refreshed that. Why isn't it refreshing the ones that are lower? It's just refreshing random agonies. It didn't even refresh one that fell there. It refreshed this one. It just refreshed. We need to bake in logic to Shared Agony, as well as Roaring Blaze for Destro, that checks to see if no mob has agony on it around the target, and will apply there. And then if it does, if they're all dotted or whatever, it then checks the lowest duration and refreshes that. I don't want to have to like go through. Twin Moons is solid, it's fine to do this. I wouldn't mind, you know, like Seed, maybe refreshing agony as well if you cast it in AoE, but I don't want to have to like go through here, you know, apply 4 agonies, you know, 5, whatever, and all right, I have to keep an eye on a couple of them because it's not working properly. So we need to add some functionality into it, looking for low duration agonies and or immolate/wither for Destro, and prioritize refreshing those comparatively to just a random one somewhere. That's not really where I want to be. Okay, moving on from there, Hexweaver, these are all tuning knobs, whatever. Corruption and Siphon Life are the same thing. You're probably playing Siphon Life in AoE now because you spam Seed all the time, but that's fine. Nightfall is the same, basically the same here, yeah. Now moving on, Haunt is what affects your Apex talent. This summons a Dreadlord. Basically, it summons like a lesser mob but does damage when you have Haunt active, and gives you a chance to summon a Dreadlord whenever you cast Haunt. This increases Haunt's damage that you do to the target when Haunt's active on it more, and initial damage. Solid, good, it's fine. I do find it a little weird. You can path around Haunt fully if you want by just going through your Shadow Bolt into here, skipping this stuff and getting everything else. And it is your Apex talent, but I mean, realistically, Apex talents are probably going to be tuned in a way where you want them, and even if it's not, Haunt is something you're probably going to want to. So if there's some weird world where that's pathing we take, okay, but whatever. Now, when it comes to other things here, so Xavius' Gambit, the left side of the tree is more like Unstable Affliction, single target prio based, and the right side is more like AoE Seed so based. We have Xavius' Gambit here, UA cast time reduction, it's already less than a second, it's actually 1 second exactly, so you're basically hitting GCD, and increases damage, and over here, reduces cast time of Seed by 0.2 and 0.4, and damage increase as well. Seed's cast time right now, the single target build here is 1.7. However, it's 1.3 with Seeds of Destruction taken. We'll see. It's fine. Modifiers, whatever. Dark Harvest is over here, and this is sort of like Soul Rot meets Malign Omen meets Dark Harvest, the talent. It is a minute cooldown, which is basically channeled twice. We'll look at that here, and does damage to targets that have dots in them. Now, the thing with Dark Harvest and Cold of the Week, which increases Dark Harvest damage and extends duration of dots, is that it has like 2 casts, if that makes sense. So let's say we're in combat with this right here. I got some dots up, and I hit my Dark Harvest. It like says Dark Harvest, and then it channels Dark Harvest down. And watch what happens here. So Dark Harvest, I'm gonna hit Malevolence now in the middle of the channel, and it doesn't interrupt it. So it's weird because you have to remain stationary, but I can cast a spell during the actual channel down part of it, which I assume is a bug. I just hit my Malevolence, didn't interrupt the channel. But it has that weird like double queuing of I'm building up my Dark Harvest and now I'm harvesting. I think we should probably just make it so it's a channel ability, just like how Drain Soul is. When you hit it, it just channels down. Having the build up and build down feels really weird. Most spells don't function that way. Probably should just look at either having like build up and a cast, or like the channel down. Optimally, I'd rather just have it be a cast time, you know, like the initial first part of it like this, and when it hits, you know, here, it just pulses. You can go on doing other things like UAs or Shadow Bolts or whatever. But the build up and build down sort of weird. I don't love that playstyle, but I like the ability itself. So there's that. Cutting Cruelties, whatever. Sacrilege is the same pretty much. Sudden Onset. It's fine. It feels a little weird being down here compared to like Shared Agony being up here, but not the end of the world. Malediction and Contagion are the same. They have 1 point ranks instead of 2. Dark Lair's the same. Malevolent Visionary is the same. Left side of the tree is more UA based. Right side is more seed based. And you can see over here, Fatal Echoes, when UA expires, it has an 8% chance to reapply itself, leading into each enemy affected by UA increases your damage by 4. And your last thing here being Cascading Calamity, Haste Buff, or Soul Miser, which gives you a chance to refund a shard on UA. At the same time, you have things like Shared Instability, giving you a chance to have UA go instant cast whatever and cost no soul shards. So you've got a handful of abilities building around applying UA for free at instant cast speed, or having UA reapply itself, or making sure you cast the UA on a target with a UA already active on it to maintain, your haste buff here, or, this also give you a chance to refund the soul shard cost, right? But the problem with UA, I think right now, is the change they made to tracking dots. So in Legion, it used to be you'd see the individual applications of UA you had. If I had 5 active, I'd see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we just see this. So there's 1 UA, there's 2, there's 3, there's, well, there would be 4 and 5. I can't see when the first one's going to expire. It expires like right about now. And the next one's going to expire about now. But I can't see when it's going to expire. When are the lower ones, the shorter ones expiring, right? Which makes it awkward for things like Fatal Echoes. Not Fatal Echoes, I guess more this one here. Wherever the one that gives you instant cast one is. Here, Shared Instability, right? Okay, well, I mean, I might have these free procs of UA, but at the same time, I want to hold this. I can't tell when some are going to be expiring. Did the one that fell off, like the one that I cast recently, did it reapply itself? I don't know. I can't tell. What's the duration on that? Where is it at? At the same time, things like Cascading Calamity, sometimes you might want to have to juggle shards a bit. You don't want to overspend. Well, if there's 2 UAs active and one reapplied or something weird under the other one, when are they going to expire? When can I hold this debuff? There's a lot of, I need to see when UA is going to expire, that would help this. That would make things easier. Now, I think the main reason behind that is because we're limited to 5 unstable afflictions max on one target. You can have 5 on one and 6 on one, another one, have 6 total. You can spread 1,000,000 UAs. Every target can have a max of 5. So if there's 5 targets, you can put 25 out. It's not going to happen, but point being, you get what I'm saying. I think we need to take unstable affliction and bake in a devouring, I think it's devouring plague for Shadow Priest. The thing that says, hey, if I applied a 6th unstable affliction or something, right, when their 5 were already active, currently it just overrides, I think, the most recent UA you put out, which is a waste of a shard. But if it said instead, hey, it'll add the damage from the 6th UA onto the 5th one or whatever, like Devouring Plague, that'd be fine. And that would work so much better with things like Fatal Echoes if you just get a reproc randomly. If that first one you applied initially expires and it reapplies and you're casting a UA at the same time, it'll just bake it all in, right? It makes it easier to like not really worry about Cascading Calamity if you're optimizing cast or low on shards. If you get a free proc here, you don't got to worry too much about overcapping on stacks. It's just like, hey, if I get to 5 stacks, I'm in some weird world where I'm like juiced up on resources and procs, I don't got to worry a whole lot about watching my UAs and their duration and everything else. And it might not seem like that big of a deal, but when Dark Lair starts to work with UA, it doesn't currently. When it does, I cast multiple UAs and I have 5 rolling here, for example. Whenever I hit my Dark Lair, it'll extend them all. And I really need to see the duration of the first, second, and third I put up as well. As Dark Harvest also extends dots too. It's a bit buggy, doesn't work with UA right now all the time, but you really need to see the duration of these individual UAs, or just add the Devouring Plague modifier onto it. Doing that would solve a lot of problems, I think, and that would go a long way in making Affliction feel a good bit better when it comes to, well, basically everything here, right? Don't worry about having 5 UAs max, everything else. And baseline UA's duration is only 8 minutes anyway, or 8 seconds anyways. It's not a huge deal, but there are worlds where you're going to be getting good procs, good restacks, good RNG, and it's like, okay, well, when is the first one going to expire? I don't know. And it's not like it's the end of the world. You can just wait, but I don't know. There's not much optimization left in classes right now, it feels like, with things being pruned down a bit. And that feels like an area I really want to know. I want information on the individual durations of Unstable Affliction. Or add Devouring Plague modifier to it, and it solves all these problems. So that's where I'm at with that. Now, the other issue I have, and also I said this was going to be one big video with all the specs in it. It's probably going to be 4 videos at this point. Just realized these are all too long. So if you're watching this, that's how we do it. Change it on the fly. Sorry. It'll probably be the first spec video that comes out, though. But, so when it comes to, like, the more AoE-based part of the tree, we've hit on the unstable affliction part of it, and there'll be some hybrid builds out there, too, I'm sure. You have things like Ravenous Afflictions, which gives you crit strikes from Agony Wither and UA grant Nightfall. Nightfall grants different abilities now. So Nightfall will grant you instant cast Seed of Corruption and have it cost no soul shards if you're playing Nocturnal Yield. At the same time, Nightfall transforms your Shadow Bolt into Malefic Grasp. I guess we should hit on this quickly before we get into the AoE part of it. Malefic Grasp, I mean, it's solid, it's good, it's very cool. I like it being back. I sort of want Malefic Grasp being a different button than Shadow Bolt. I think we should keep our Shadow Bolt and have Malefic Grasp like be a button like Soulfire with Destro when it had Decimation proc. It would glow, hey, hit this button, right? And if it's not active or doesn't proc, you just can't hit it. The problem is, like, let's say, for example, I'm in combat here, doing whatever, dotting things up, and I get a Malefic Grasp proc. I'll wait for one here, right? Cast a UA, Dark Lair, why not? Hit this Dark Harvest. I'm just, maybe I'm just casting spells and whatever. The problem is I'm spamming Shadow Bolt, usually with my filler. I'm just spamming it. Malefic Grasp procs can happen basically right there. I hit it now, but I'm still spamming Shadow Bolt because I didn't realize Grasp proc. There's no real great indicator. There's no audio cue. There's no weak aura popping up, which weak aura, sure, but there's no great indicator of it. And I feel like quite often I'm going to be sitting here not hyper fixated on my bars, moving for a mechanic, doing something, and I'm just sitting here spamming Shadow Bolt. Okay, and I half override my Malefic Grasp. Now I see it here. Let it channel. But if I'm back into spamming Shadow Bolt as my filler spell, or I'm moving or whatever, I hit like this, I'm hitting Bolt still, I only get like 2/3 of that Grasp channel. And that feels funky. Now, there's ways to get around that. There's macros, I think, that Shadow Priest use and things that there's some stop, don't stop, drain macro you can use where if you're spamming it and it transforms, it won't stop the channel until it's done. That's fine. Probably just need to use that. But that doesn't feel like something that should be required for optimal gameplay based on the reduction of abilities to classes that are coming in midnight and just the general way we're taking combat and class structure in midnight forward, right? I do think Afflock feels great. I like Legion Aff. Some changes are needed still probably, but I think we should make Malefic Grasp a different button. I mean, we lost a handful of keybinds anyways. I mean, these ritual summoning keybinds are what I put them on my bars to show what I'd have on retail in these spots. Like I have like Potion here, Stone Form here. I have Demonic or Gateway Control Shard here, right? But the holes in my bars, like here and here, these are keybinds that I've lost essentially. I've lost, I think this is Rapture and this is Singularity, right? I don't know if there's a world where Blizzard's like, yeah, we can just add a different button for Grasp. But I think if the option is saying, hey, we have to optimally play Affliction, you have to play a macro or make a macro to not cancel Malefic Grasp, or we make it another button. I think you just make another button. Not a big deal. I don't think AF feels like too demanding right now. And honestly, at the same time, like having a button that's like grayed out, you can't hit until you get a proc, and then when it procs and you hit it, it feels really rewarding. I probably like that playstyle more anyways. But a little thing that I've noticed in testing there, I think needs to be looked at maybe. Now, when it comes to the AoE part of the tree, this is where I feel like things are a little interesting. I feel like it's sort of a problem for almost every Warlock spec. I'm going to shift gears here and go back to just like I'm going to empty this tree out actually. So we're going to assume we're playing Haunt here and playing our Nathrazir or whatever, these dudes, right? I want to pull all my points out here, and we're going to try and build a AoE row or AoE build. Like full Mythic Blast, Seed Talents, all that kind of stuff. I feel like there's maybe a bit too many AoE talents and not enough. It requires too much commitment to the AoE talents, which makes it awkward when you're trying to get like universal talents or things that might make you a little better in single target. So let's build this tree out and see. So UA is here, Seed. You go into Shared Agony, you're going to go fast here a bit. You're grabbing Nightfall, obviously, grabbing Shadow Bolt or Drain. Whatever you want, it's fine. You end up grabbing probably Hexweaver or one of these two. It's fine for Summoner's Embrace. And then next row is Unlock. We're going to want Siphon Life here likely. There's a world where, I think you play Siphon with Seed. You're spamming it a bunch. You're grabbing Haunt for all your talents here, obviously. Dark Harvest, Cold of the Week. There's a world where you skip Cunning Cruelty here, because honestly, you're limited on points. But I want to grab Seeds of Destruction, which reduces Seeds cast time, and we're going to grab probably Sacrilash, but I also want to grab Sudden Onset, because having Agony start at more stacks and do more damage is relevant. So it requires points in Xavius' Gambit, and it requires 2 to get here, which is a little interesting. I'm going to skip this for now, but you're going to see what I'm saying. So let's say we're going to grab Sacrilash. We need to spend basically 5 more points to unlock the bottom row here. So we'll spend in Cunning Cruelty, we'll spend in Contagion, Dark Glare, and we got to spend somewhere over here to get Malediction, to unlock probably this part of the tree. I don't think you're skipping Malediction anywhere. But you're getting into a point where, okay, well, now I need to spend 2 more points to unlock the bottom part of this tree. But I also want to play like Sudden Onset, but I don't really want Xavius' Gambit here and plus in a sense, but I want Sudden Onset. I probably do want Malediction. Maybe there's a world where you skip this. So let's say we try to like avoid Malediction regardless and not even go over here. So let's say we put points up here in like Practice Pestilence, and we'll throw it in. We'll throw it in Withering Bolt, try and get a little bit more single target. But all right, so last part of the tree is open here. So we're putting 2 points in Relinquished, which is pretty strong at 1.2%, especially in AoE. You're swimming in shards. You're putting a point in Patient Zero and a point in Sow the Seeds. I'm also putting a point here in Nocturnal Yield for instant cast seeds. No shard cost, very, very good. I want a point in Creeping Death as like a universal talent. Good in general. I want a point in Malevolent Visionary, obviously. I want a point in Ravenous Afflictions because it's giving Nightfall procs, which feeds into Nocturnal Yield. But I'm in a spot here of like where I have 2 points left. And I guess theoretically I could spend a point up here in Malediction to grab this. So I have 1 point left. But I also don't really have a whole lot of like... I have like some universal talents, but I feel like I'm spending a lot of committed points in things like excuse me. Nocturnal Yield and Sow and Patient Zero and Relinquished and other like AoE-esque modifiers to get down in the tree. And even if I have a lot of them already, I can't leave out Nocturnal Yield. That's really good in AoE. I can't leave out Creeping Death. That's good in general. I can't leave out Afflictions because it's giving me Nightfall procs, which gives more Yield procs, which like, you know, compounds upon itself. And then we get down here and it's like, oh, I don't have any points in Xavius' Gambit. I don't have Sudden Onset. I don't have Shared Instability, which I probably should have in general. I can put a point in Embrace, but I don't have Grasp. I wouldn't play it in Plus, but I don't have Instability, I don't have Grasp, I don't have Onset, Xavius' Gambit, no Echoes, no Cloying Power, which you honestly might even want in M Plus in some scenario, because there used to be a world where you spread UAs in Legion, right? And I don't have points in Cascading Calamity or Soul Miser. I'm also missing a point in Improved Haunt. I'm leaving out a lot of like Prio single target-esque talents, and it feels like I'm almost overcommitting to AoE, but it's obvious that they want you to take these talents in AoE. When it comes to single target, I don't feel that way. When it comes to single target, I have basically just, you know, this side of the tree here. I don't need to hop into Nocturnal Yield. I don't need to go into Relinquish to get this stuff here. And I'm still taking things like Ravenous Affliction, still taking Creeping Death, still taking a couple other abilities over there. But it feels like it leaves a bit of single target... It's lacking a bit of single target emphasis when you're trying to build into this big, you know, Sow the Seeds kind of build. Now, we'll know more about it when we get into like actual testing and dungeons. I've been in the queue for 7 hours. Can't get one to pop. But I'm a little worried, and we'll figure this out pretty easily whenever testing begins and there's more invites. I'm a little worried if we're maybe entering into a world where there's a lot of AoE emphasis with the tree and how it's built and how you're supposed to path through it in M plus and things around Seed and Sow, which I want to stay around. Don't get rid of Seed or Sow, which leaves not enough points to grab some of like your single target prio relevance. Maybe UA Spender is just strong in general, and UA being your spender can carry your single target. Maybe that's the case. Maybe you don't need things like this. But I'm assuming there's going to be classes that can do both in a pretty good manner and not be like hard committed to AoE with, you know, with like Zero and Sow and Nocturnal Yield and this giving Nightfall procs and 2 points in Seeds and over here in Cunning Cruelty, and you know what I mean. So that's my main concern with the AF tree. But I love the talents in the tree. I think it flows pretty well in single target, maybe a little rocky in AoE when it comes to available talent points, but you know, maybe like just having Haunt and this also having carries enough. I don't know. We'll see, right? But those are my general thoughts. I've heard it echoed by others as well. We'll see where that goes in the long run, but the next step is just getting into combat more, getting in some dungeons, testing out Affliction, and all that. So yeah, if you got this far in the video, be audible midway. This is probably going to be a class tree and affliction, like spec tree video, whatever. I'll probably do the next 2 specs in their own videos because I don't want to make an hour-long video. But thanks for watching, guys. Like always, I appreciate all the support. If you're new to the channel here and would consider subbing, it means the world to me. I'm trying to get to 100K this year. But in general, I appreciate y'all watching. Thank you for all the support. GG. GN. I'll see you on stream. Peace.